For all those who remember these guys. Probably the biggest deathcore band ever. And I think it's fair to say that even today, Mitch Lucker is a very big inspiration for all of us. So my friend, as usual, take a cup of coffee, cigarette, pancakes, whatever you feel like, as we explore the Suicide Silence Mitch Lucker era. Alright, real quick before we start, we finally have Discord, guys. I did it. So you can join now, the link is in the description, and that's pretty much it. So the band was formed in 2002 in Riverside, California, and believe it or not, Suicide Silence was actually just a side project for fun. You know how these things goes, right? You're a kid, you have like 1,000 different bands with your friends, and you kind of wish that one of them just take off and you can hopefully go on tour and play, which of course is exactly what happened, but they had to start somewhere. So in 2003, they released their very first demo called The Death Away. So sick. You have to remember, it was in 2003 and it was amazing for the time. But for now, let's break it down. First, it wasn't Mitch Lucker on vocals, it was Tanner Womack. Hope I'm pronouncing it right. You know how terrible I am with pronunciation, so... Anyway, on this demo, it was actually the very first drummer, Justin Tefano. Very talented, and he actually did the whole thing with one foot. It's incredible. I didn't even know you could do that, to be honest. Not long after that, a very young Mitch Lucker joined the band, and I'm not sure what happened with the drummer Justin, but he left. So since they had to find a new drummer, obviously, Mitch did ask his friend Josh, who just started playing drums a few months ago, to join Suicide Silence. Which, by the way, I completely understand, you know? You might think, why pick a drummer with not much experience when you can go with someone more experimented? But the thing is, when you're in a band, the connection and creativity matters so much more, you know? You become kind of a small family, if you will. And while we're here, I invite you to watch the Garza podcast with the OG Suicide Silence member. It's an amazing episode, and to be honest, there's a lot of information that I've learned watching it. So yeah, basically they had a completely new lineup almost. They had Mike Bodkins on bass, they had their new drummer, Josh Goddard, they had Chris Garza, Mitch Lucker, and Tanner wasn't in the band anymore, the original vocalist. I'm not sure why. But yeah, if you ask me, they had a pretty solid lineup, which brings us to the release of their 2004 demo with the infamous Family Guy soundtrack.
I have AIDS.
Oof. It's fascinating to me how, with their new lineup, they instantly became the Suicide Silence we all know. It's like they needed these people to find their actual sound. It was quite impressive. And you know how much I'm all about raw sound deathcore. So of course I like the old Suicide Silence. But yeah, back in the days, the members of Suicide Silence were actually friends with a band called Torn Within. And they were quite impressed by this band. So impressed that they actually recruited Rick Ash as their new guitar player, a very talented artist who contributed a lot to the sound and structure in general of the band. And believe me, already in 2004 and 2005, Suicide Silence was incredible live. Holy shit, man. It's crazy to me how already in those years Mitch's presence on stage was incredible right off the bat. It truly feels like he was born for this. Which brings us to 2005 when Suicide Silence released one of the best EPs of all time. My god, man, for me this EP is a masterpiece. I know for a lot of people they're gonna say that it was like sketchy or sloppy or whatever. I don't care. For me it was amazing. It's right up there with the Chelsea Grin self-titled EP, Infinite Dead, from Die Artist Murder, the Doom EP from Jump for a Cowboy. For me, this Suicide Silence EP is like, I mean, you know, it's right there. Anyway, years later, in a Bare Bones radio interview, Mitch explained how terrible he thinks this EP sounded, which is understandable with all the experience they had, but I'm actually sharing it because he was explaining how they went on tour all by themselves, independently.
Actually, we put out the EP. That thing was recorded in a fucking garage. It's terrible. Yeah. But we put out the EP, and then from that point, we just started touring on our own. I think we did like almost a year straight of touring around the U.S., and even we took ourselves overseas by ourselves, no label, just to see what we can do, you know. I did a headliner just on a shitty EP, and it went really well.
We basically headlined for a year.
Yeah, we headlined all over the United States, all over Canada, all over Europe, by ourselves, no label.
Pretty cool, right? Unfortunately, not too long after the release and before going on tour, Rick Ash did quit the band because he had to focus on school and all that. Again, if you want more details, the Garza podcast is amazing. But yeah, they replaced Rick with Mark Ailman. I'm sorry. The EP was a very big success, and of course it was amazing live. I wish I could have been there, honestly. These performances are unreal. You don't see that anymore today, at least in my opinion. And again, Mitch's presence and performances are just... Be prepared, I'm gonna praise Mitch for sure. The guy is my biggest inspiration still today, so... I mean, I have goosebumps every single time I see Mitch performing. Old videos, official videos, whatever. It's just, to me, he's always gonna be the greatest vocalist. Also, I just can't move on with the video without mentioning the amazing official live performance video for the song Destruction of a Statue. So yeah, after touring and doing their things for 2 years, in 2006, unfortunately, Josh quit the band due to some disagreement and because of his other occupation at the time, his job, girlfriend and all that, which made them recruit Alex Lopez, very talented drummer. So with their new drummer, they actually released a brand new demo, which, fun fact, every single song would be released on the cleansing after, except the song A Dead Current, which would only be released on the special edition album. It was very clear at this point that Suicide Silence was very unique and outstanding. I mean, even in their demo you could feel the energy, the intensity. It would be an understatement to say that they had big potential. And later in the same year, in 2006, their 2005 EP was actually re-released through In at the Deep End Records label in the UK to expand their reach and popularity, which obviously worked very well. And of course, once again, the live performances were gnarly. Oh god, it was something else. But yeah, with their increasing popularity and success in the scene, they finally got signed by none other than Century Media, a very big record label and a very big milestone for Suicide Silence.
Basically,
We had a lot of offers from
yeah, it just kind of came along. It was one of the offers, and it was the
best.
something we found.
And they went out of their way to like accommodate us even before we were even signed.
Came
They
to
just-
Louisiana and saw
they
us.
would come out to shows. They were just
Steve Joe, awesome
yeah,
dude.
awesome, just awesome staff. Best way to say it.
All around best
Best
label we
choice.
thought we could go with.
Not very surprising that Suicide Silence was receiving that many offers, but I think it's cool to know that Century Media was treating them well. Which brings us to 2007, when Suicide Silence released their legendary, iconic first album called The Cleansing. Wow, man, I mean, where to even start? This album will always be a masterpiece, even today. And I don't care if you don't like Suicide Silence, which would be a little odd if you're watching this, but still. The point is, it's undeniable that this album completely changed deathcore as a whole. Everything was perfect. The death metal riffs with amazing breakdowns, iconic callouts. Talking about the vocals, I mean, they were just perfect. There's nothing negative to say, like, easily some of the best vocals, if not the best vocals. But yeah, the whole sound, the snare, like, it was also recorded all together, which kind of brings an energy you don't have on many records. I'm still listening to it on a daily basis, to be honest. Also worth mentioning, like, the amazing catchphrases like "I just want me to recognize your fucking face," or but yeah, anyway, the album did very well on the charts, peaking at number 94 on the Billboard 200, selling over 7,000 copies in its first week. Of course, the band were blowing up on Myspace. It was incredible. They then released 2 official videos, one for the song Price of Beauty, and another one for Bulging to Death. They also did 2 official live performance video for the song Nobody for a Coward and their song Unanswered. I mean, the band was on pure fire. They were giving some of the best performances ever. The following year, in 2008, they went on a very big tour with Parkway Drive. And as always, Suicide Silence was obviously killing it live. Then I'm not sure what happened with their old bassist, but they recruited Daniel Kenny, super cool and funny guy, also very talented, which brings us to 2009 when they did an amazing performance for the Revolver Golden Gods Award.
Are you guys gonna perform in these suits?
We are. It's gonna be fucking
serious. You guys should totally fucking perform in these suits.
Fuck yeah, we are.
Do it.
I mean, how cool was that? A super extreme deathcore band performing at an event like that. It was just crazy. Then, in May 2009, he released some of my favorite studio updates ever.
With the suicide silence, it's alright. Recording environment like this where it's work. There's multitasking, there's always something going on.
The record, fuck, I hate it.
Videotape time!
The mentality of the fucking, you know, the distortion fucking.
At this point, the hype was real, man. I mean, it was kind of waiting to know where the scene would be going. Let me explain. What I mean by that is Suicide Silence was kind of defining how every other band would sound after each release. No disrespect to the other bands. I know, like, we had Whitechapel, Oceano, Carnifex, but I'm just saying Suicide Silence wasn't afraid to try new things, and every single time they would come up with something new that a lot of bands would try to then recreate, if you will. I also still remember when they announced the new album on Myspace. It was crazy. Which brings us to July 2009, when they released their amazing album called No Time to Bleed. So sick, man. I mean, so many great songs. It's pure deathcore right there. I mean, it was very different from The Cleansing. They still had their signature Suicide Silence sound, if you will. But it was different in terms of like sound and riff and the melodies, like so many different hooks, and it was very memorable. Not to say that The Cleansing wasn't, I mean, it was amazing. You get what I'm trying to say, it was just exactly what you wanted at the time. I think the song Disengage is a very good example of a catchy, great melody, right? In terms of hook, I think the song Wake Up is a very good example. Awesome, right? And the behind the scenes were pretty interesting.
I hope my best one's
Somebody give Mitch some gum so he's not gun.
They then did an amazing video for the song Genocide. During an interview with Heavy Metal Source, they explained how they came up with the name No Time to Bleed.
So I had this crazy dream one night. You have no idea.
Yeah.
It was mainly I had just been drinking a lot, and my friend was just like, "Dude, I have one hit of acid. It's kind of bunk, but I'm gonna give it to you." And I was like, "All right." So I didn't think it was whatever, dude. So I just, dropped it, went to sleep, and it was just like this fucking being, this being was there, and he's just like, "Man, you better fucking clean that shit up." And I'm like, "Clean what up, dude?" And then I look down, there's blood all over me. I'm like, "No." And he's like, "You got no time to bleed, bro."
Interesting. In the same interview, Mitch explained how it was different from The Cleansing in terms of meaning and signification.
Not so much as of a blasphemous record like The Cleansing was. There's a song in there called Suffer, and there's a line that's like, "A ruthless cleansing has already begun and it's time to move on." It's like saying past that shit, like moving on to other interesting topics. And a song about being wasted, songs about fucking
Friends fucking not waking up.
Yeah, it's definitely an awesome record. I'm proud of it vocally because it's definitely a lot of my tapped in deep into like my own brain and stuff. And a song about my daughter, like it's personal and it's for everybody. Everybody can get something from it. Really cool.
During another interview, he actually explained how it was easier this time around, which was pretty interesting.
There was like a ton of pressure, I think, in the beginning.
The whole writing thing, we were scared, like, oh fuck, like, but at the same time, the cleansing was done live, so it was really easy to follow up and just destroy that record. It was really smart of us to do it live. Now that we do this, that we did the second record in the studio, we're thinking about, dude, it's so easy to kill that first record because it was just done 1, 2, 3, 4, go in the studio, and being able to now go into a studio and take time and write songs and record them like super well with a crazy producer, definitely.
Yeah, we basically just took a lot more time on No Time to Bleed, and I was nervous once we like initially going into the writing process, but once we started writing and then like
turning out songs.
putting things together and like seeing how easy everything was coming together.
I also really like his perspective on how people react to his lyric and music in general.
Even if you interpret it differently and you hear the meaning from me, then keep that meaning to yourself because it means something to you, and that's all music is. If it means something to you, then it's real shit, no matter what it means, positive, negative, any type of emotion you feel. If you get that emotion from one of my songs and it's different from my actual meaning, then hold that because that means something to you. Let that song mean something to you. I have songs like that that's like, it means something completely different than what the song's fucking about to me, but that's what my brain latched on. What's my brain has like found positive in the song, and I think that's awesome when people do that.
This Barebones interview is great, by the way. They later talked about the topic I'm mentioning in almost every single videos I'm making.
Deathcore is so narrow. It's just like death metal and core, like whatever, or hardcore. It's like, okay.
Honestly, heavy metal's been around since as long as, like, think of old Black Sabbath. That's heavy fucking metal, bottom line. And it's always gonna be around because it's metal and it's heavy, and there's always been heavy metal bands. I like the term heavy metal because it's metal. Metal's the big, broad spectrum of music, and it's heavy. Play heavy riffs that you can fucking groove to. It's just heavy metal. It's so simple. Why can't heavy metal? What did that word like? Not is it not cool anymore? Is it taboo? Because like, oh yeah, it doesn't have death in it. Death metal, deathcore. Like,
I mean, Mitch was right. It's heavy metal. It's simple. Just leave it at that, right? It's cool to see how proud they were of their new sound and their album. And I also think it was very heartwarming to hear Mitch talk about his daughter.
having a child completely changes your life 100%. When I'm home from tour, I'm 100% daddy mode, full-time daddy, and I go from that to this 100% different lifestyle for months at a time. It's super crazy, but it keeps me grounded. It gives me it's a reason to wake up every morning, a reason to do what I do. It makes me try a little harder, strive a little harder. So.
I mean, at this point, Suicide Silence was huge. They were doing live performances on TV. Do you even know how big of a deal it is for a deathcore band to do stuff like that? It was crazy. And while we're here, I have to mention the outstanding performance they did of the song Lifted for Hot Topic. Sure, the crowd was a bit disappointing, but I mean, Mitch and the band completely killed it, and that's what mattered. I don't know if you remember, but Hot Topic was a huge thing. And yeah, while we're on the topic, pun intended. Okay, it's not funny, I don't care. Anyway, the live performances were incredible. Freaking wow, man. The hype around the band and the popularity was increasing more and more. They were becoming kind of the reference in terms of extreme heavy music. It was almost like if you know a little bit about deathcore, you know what Suicide Silence is. They were the band. Anyway, after the album release and touring for a year or something, they actually announced that they were working on a brand new album.
Yeah, No Time to Bleed came out June fucking 30th, 09, and ever since then, toured on it for a full year, got off tour, and we worked on this. We've been working on a new record now for like 4 or 5 months. We locked ourselves up in a cabin in Big Bear and just worked on it. We were snowed in for 4 weeks straight, couldn't leave, couldn't do anything. Just worked on a new record, and ever since then, just working on the new shit, shopping producers. So Suicide's new record will be recorded after this tour. We have a headliner coming up. After the headliner, we're going to Europe, do a headliner, come home, record the new record, and then do another headliner here in America.
Which brings us to May 2011, when they released, again, amazing studio updates. But even better, they actually released a 40-minute video about the making of the album. It was great.
5 songs done today. I'm stoked on the ones that are done. The ones that I'm just working on are hard to tell because it's just bits and pieces that are in the computer, not the whole song. All right, I got it. That's perfect.
It's day 3 of recording, and we're just doing drums.
That's just a sample.
Which brings us to 2012, when they released their brand new album, The Black Crown. Such a great album, and I really enjoyed the fact that you could feel the new metal influence through it. And by the way, I'm a huge new metal fan, always been. Jonathan Davis from Korn was featured on the album, and even Frank Mullen from Suffocation. It was wild. But yeah, The Black Crown was more polished, a little more bouncy, which again, they were always ahead of their time. In 2012, to come up with something like new metal, bouncy, mixed with the deathcore stuff, Suicide Silence was innovating once again. During an interview the same year, Mitch talked about the album, and I'm sharing it because I think his perspective is always interesting.
It's way more personal. I mean, I had the birth of my daughter. She's 4 now, but that completely changed a lot of the views and thoughts I had on things. Everything that all the other Suicide Silence records have ever lacked, this one has, and has tons of it. So it's definitely the most mature record we've ever done. So we actually focused on writing songs, not just writing 100 riffs and putting one riff after the next and then calling it when it's done. It's like this, they're actual songs, there's repetition, there's catchiness. Every record we put out, there's so many bands that try to imitate it or emulate it. And we kind of just wanted to crown ourselves like the kings of the sound. That way, every time you put in a Suicide Silence record, 1, 2, or 3, after 10 seconds, you immediately know, oh, that's Suicide Silence. The same thing as if you put a Slipknot CD in. Any Slipknot CD, within 5 seconds, you know it's Slipknot. Same with the Korn CD. We wanted that. And also, we're from Corona, which is Crown Town, around. So let's do something that represents where we're from and kind of crowns us as our sound. So we just came up with the Black Crown. I actually got a part of it tattooed on my knee yesterday. Every record we do, we outdo the one previous. We go out of our way to completely outdo it to where sound quality's better, the musicianship's better, the songwriting's better. So it's only going to get better from here. The more we tour, the better we get. The more doing this for a lifestyle, it's if you don't get better at it, then you should probably stop.
I also really like the fact that they were writing music for themselves. They didn't care about the labels.
It's not like we're trying to be, we're going to try to be a death metal band, we're going to be a tech metal band. It's like, fuck that. Like, we're just gonna be a band that we like to listen to ourselves, so we're proud of what we make. Not, oh, it took us 8 days to write this one song and you have to use a calculator to figure out what the fuck's going on. It's like, why do that? Why would you make something that's so complex or so hard that just goes over people's heads? I mean, there is a niche for that, but I'd rather just make music that can go like this too.
In the same interview, Mitch explained why they went organic, only real instruments on the album.
Everything recorded on the record was played by me, Garza, Mark, Alex, and Dan Kinney. Everyone played their instrument. There's no falsified. There's nothing about this record that's fake. All the drums are real. Real drum sounds. Real drums being played. It's on a fucking computer making, oh, I'm gonna program these drums. All right, cool, now let's play to it. That's not a band. That's bullshit.
I also really wanted to share Mark's perspective on the album.
I mean, I see where, I mean, we definitely were like going on a path with No Time to Bleed of wanting to be like technical and be like super, you know, more death metal than we have been before. And then once we did it and once we realized we were done with it, we were like, kind of wanted to just go more on like the groove aspect. And with this, we just kind of like trimmed the fat. I've been saying that a lot. Like we took all the elements that we thought like that is like super easy for us to write. Like we don't need that's kind of like filler stuff, you know. Like we just write things because it would just fill a space from this riff to this riff. And we just took the best riffs and just kind of wrote, you know, something we thought that sounds like concise. And you know, every riff to me is pretty memorable.
Then they released an official video for the song "Slave to Substance." For which, once again, they did a pretty cool behind the scenes.
We are in shitty LA doing a video for a song that I kind of like.
It took longer doing makeup than it did to shoot.
It's like a huge circle that like goes the opposite of where you need to look.
Which brings us to the release of one of the biggest songs and official video for Suicide Silence to this day, You Only Live Once. Such a cool concept for a video, and the song was also very memorable. The hooks and all that, it was amazing. They did another behind the scenes video. They also did 2 official live performance video. It was awesome. Like I said, Suicide Silence was the band, you know? Call it deathcore, call it metal, call it whatever you want, but Suicide Silence was everywhere.
Mitch from Suicide Silence, come on in. This is Parker, the best part about the bus, because he lives and breathes. Then you have your essentials, your chips.
I was 16 years old and then I got, or 17, and I got my whole shin done.
Okay.
They also did a super funny interview with Montreality.
Next question.
Ooh.
We all put our money together. We all put our money together.
I've only been in the band for 3 years.
I got it.
We bought the moon.
More gear.
Yeah, we bought gear. That's for fucking gear.
I'm gay.
We own property on the moon now too. The band all put money together with our manager and everything. And we bought this little chunk on the moon. We got our own crater and everything. So once we invent
It's still
some
there.
sort of
It's
ship,
still there. It's
well,
still
yeah,
there.
what- no,
No,
it'll
it's
be
actually
there. We
gone.
own it. No,
Somebody took
no,
it.
we haven't sold it.
We sold
guys are-
to you too. No, dude.
The whole
that
group?
day we were in Indiana and they called us. NASA, like,
That's what they call
or
it.
is it?
Back then they were called NASA.
Yeah.
So
It's
I didn't actually know.
NASA.
It's all NASA.
It was called NASA, and then we said NASA on accident. I said, do you know what?
That's an
that
American
rolls
thing.
off the tongue so much better. Can we buy that from you? He said, yes. All you have to do is give us a chunk of the moon. That was it.
That's good.
Of course, the live performances once again were unreal. Oh man, they are so wild, so amazing. Again, Mitch presence, the whole band, it was something else. I also think it's worth mentioning that even in 2012, they were still practicing and writing in Corona, Riverside, where everything started.
Garza lives in Corona. That's why it's Riverside based, is because he lives in Corona. That's where we've written everything. That's where we practice. That's our practice space. Always has been. That's where our storage unit is. So the band's just based out of Southern California, I would say.
And talking about Riverside, Mitch did the most heartwarming, adorable interview I've ever seen in my life with Chris Garza's mom.
What band would you like to go on tour with or do a song with the most?
I always want to work with my influences, like the things I grew up listening to, bands like Slipknot, bands like Korn, bands like Deftones. We actually got that opportunity on the Black Crown with Jonathan Davis singing the song with us. It was just unreal. So that's a check mark. And now I'm just going to go down the list of all my other favorite bands I want to work with.
It was released on Hot Topics YouTube channel. I really recommend. It was amazing. And talking about heartwarming, during an interview, they explain why and how they bought new toys for kids, and wow, man.
Thanks to a man named Jesper that bought my shirt from the You Only Live Once video on eBay. We were assuming it was going to go for like $20-30, but ended up going for $800. And we put all that money into buying toys for kids. Seeing the reaction on someone's face when you give them a gift, it made everything not only worth it, but I would have gone out of my way and done that by myself. You know, the reaction was so rewarding.
If you want to watch it, it's on Suicide Silence official channel. I really recommend. It's very heartwarming and beautiful. Which brings us to November 2012, when Mitch Lucker passed away in a motorcycle accident. Now, I won't show you the news footage and stuff like that, because I want this video to be about everything he accomplished, and I don't want it to be a sad video, you know. I want to present him more in the icon he still is today, if that makes sense. What I can tell you though is that it was devastating for everybody. It was the very first time in my life that someone that I didn't personally know was impacting me that much. It was a big hit in the face for like so many people, and I just said that I don't want the video to be sad, and I'm aware that it's gonna be a little sad for sure, but it was important for me to mention that when Mitch died, the whole deathcore scene died, literally. Like, you can argue that bands were still going and stuff like that, but I was there and I fully remember that the whole deathcore thing was over for a while. I think it's fair to say that he was the official leader of the movement. But yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that even today, I'm having a lot of conversation with you guys in the comments and with my friends and people I know, and everybody agree on the fact that Mitch is still an icon. He's still a legend. He's having a lot of impact in the scene, even if he's not physically there. To me, he's still there, you know? Like, this whole energy, everything he did, it's still there. I don't know if it makes sense, but it makes sense to me at least. And if we're talking about talent, dear God, to me, even today, no one is even close to his stage presence, his vocals. Like, he's unbeatable. Like, for me, he's always gonna be the greatest, for sure. If you didn't already watch it, I'm pretty sure you did, but there's the official Mitch Lucker documentary on Suicide Silence official channel. I completely recommend. It's a tough watch. If I'm being honest, I can't even watch it without crying, but it's beautiful and it's a very good way to honor him. Anyway, rest in peace, Mitch Lucker. Legends never die. I'm sure you all remember the amazing memorial show. It was heartwarming and special. I've never seen anything like that, really. And of course I have to mention the incredible, outstanding performance of the song Unanswered by Phil Bozeman. mean, to be fair, every single vocalist that stepped on stage did a fantastic job. It's a must watch if you didn't already. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, what an honor to share this story. It was the most important video. As soon as I started my channel, I had goosebumps. It was the first footage and research I ever did for my channel, but I was waiting to have a little more videos around, a little more footage, so that when I release Suicide Silence, it gets the views and the respect it deserves. Not to me as a creator, I just mean as, you know, for the band and for Mitch. I really hope I wasn't out of line on nothing. I really wanted to do this video for the good reasons. Mitch Lucker, as I said many times in the video, is a very big inspiration for me and kind of my idol, really. And it was the best way for me to honor him and the band. Let me know if you would like a part 2 with Eddie joining the band, with all they did after that. They're still killing it. I don't want you to think that, you know, I'm only about the... Of course, like, I'm all about Mitch Lucker and what they did, but don't get me wrong, they're still killing it. They're a great band. So if you want me to do a part 2 with everything that happened after, let me know in the comments. It's gonna be my pleasure for sure. Also, keep in mind, I don't obviously own any rights to their music, interviews, live footage. I'm just here to tell a story, right? It all goes to Century Media and Suicide Silence and the band and all that. I don't own anything except like me talking right now. As usual, if you want to support me and the channel, just leave a like and subscribe. It means the world, and take 1 second of your time to leave a comment. I like reading those. I love reading your stories and opinions, and even if it's negative about something I should change in my videos or something, let me know. I'm super open-minded. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I have a Discord now, so feel free to join. We're gonna have fun there, and I also want to go on Twitch maybe and hang out with you guys in live. It would be cool. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now. I'll see you in the next one.